Hey gang, I just wanted to throw this one out real quick. As of 3 days ago or so, there have been two letters that I think I should bring to a lot of people's attention, and that is the RMS Open Letter, is what this one's called, an open letter to remove Richard M. Stallman from all leadership positions, and and the contradictory open letter in support of Richard M. Stallman, the RMS Support Letter. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because free software is amazing. Please go look it up. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to look up the definition of free software. And first few things you can see is the Free Software Foundation, who Richard Stallman is a big figure in. I'm gonna go look for the Wikipedia article. The free software is computer software distributed on the terms that allows users to run it for any purpose. You can study it, you can change it, you can distribute it. So basically, you can look at the source code, you can make your own little changes if you need to, and you can audit it. You can make sure that they're not spying on you. I think that's one of the big modern appeals of free software, but also allows you to share it with your friends, allows you to share it with the community, and allows for usually allows for, not just usually, in all situations, it allows for a better code base because people can look at it, people can give suggestions. A lot of proprietary, that's the opposite of free software. Uh, Pieces of software like Windows and Mac, apologies beforehand, but they're closed source, which means that they don't release their source code. Their source code is completely within their own sphere, which means that you don't know what's running on your machine at most times. So I think that's one of the big modern appeals of free software. But overall, it's just really cool, you know? You can take a look at source code, you can make your own little modifications. That's why a lot of video games that are open source have plenty of mods. Most recent flavor of the month, Friday Night Funkin', is open source. Its source code is available, which allows for plenty of mods to be made. There have been plenty of yeah. Well, that's the first one that comes to mind, but I'm sure that there are definitely many other games, and there are plenty of games that are indeed open source. Letter V6 Times released its source code a good bit ago. Hold on. We're just gonna look this up just to see what's going on open source games. There should be a list of them. Yeah. Yep, lists of open source video games. So yeah, sure. Most of them are going to be like smaller titles, like Battle for Wesnoth. I don't know why I like Wesnoth. um, FNF I already mentioned. A lot of simple GNU programs. A lot of them are simple stuff. But at times you'll find like a lot of apologies for hiding. We got the Super Tux games and whatnot. Yeah, sure. These are mostly like smaller titles. A few of them are like semi well known. Yet at the same time, it's like, you're not going to find it. Osu is open source. Then we have source available games. It's like, this is a bit different because it's not open source, it's not free software. But I don't know, still worth looking at it. Want to be the guy? Minecraft source is open. Oh yeah, it was the obfuscated through the unofficial Minecraft code pack. And there are a lot of games whose source code has been discovered, like a lot of the Pokemon games have decompilation projects. Mario 64 has a decompilation project with source code of its own. So I think that's super interesting. You know, just a little something I wanted to share. But anyways, to the letters. I'm going to start off with the negative one, an open letter to remove RMS from all leadership positions. So it starts out by saying that he's a dangerous force in the free software community. He's shown himself to be misogynist, ableist, transphobic, these sorts of beliefs in the free software, digital rights, and tech communities with his reinstatement. So essentially what they're saying is that because Richard Stallman has said some negative things in the past, that he should be removed from his work. Yep, we are calling for removal of the entire board. Yeah, this is pretty serious. And I definitely have a lot of problems with these, as you can tell. I don't think there's any benefits to running this letter. First off, separate the art from the artist, is what I like to say. There is no reason that, say for example, someone might have like terrible opinions, but they could still make great works of art. They could still create powerful tools, you know. And I think that, well, it's like saying Henry Ford was a racist, but he invented the automated uh, vehicle production line, which is super important and it's still being used today. But no one's going to cancel car industries for using a technology made by Henry Ford, a stark racist. And that's sort of like one of my main opinions in that regard. Then we're calling for remove the entire board. Yeah, this is sort of where you can tell. Yeah, they're outsiders looking in. Because honestly, they're supposed to be working on a free software. It's like, okay, I'm gonna get to the big guys who signed this in a bit. We are also calling for original software from including the GNU project. We are in a position to stop supporting, refuse to do this, take stand against bigotry. This is mostly just good old 2010s into 2020s buzzwords, but still, many people would be surprised in terms of like how many people actually follow this. So we have several public incidents of RMS's behavior, so on and so forth. I'll just check it out for the sake of checking it out. User raising child sex. Note while several news reports presented Stalin's positions, he was consistent with the inaccurate portrayal. He regularly, and in many situations, it's like, okay, sure, he's a bit autistic, but in many of these situations, RMS apologized. Stalin's previous opinions that were consistent with the inaccurate portrayal. This is freaking hilarious. RMS has been using the campaign using people's correct pronouns. He's not against using people's correct pronouns. I think this is sort of like the big tipping point where I'm really like, where one should realize, yeah, I mean, he's trying to be nice. He's trying to be nice. He's trying to be gender neutral. He doesn't want to make anybody angry. He is trying to, he's being nice. He doesn't care. He's just being nice. He's just like, oh yeah, just grabs any person. He's being nice. He doesn't have to bend to he doesn't have to memorize all of these retarded genders because everybody in California is worshiping some Aztec god of sacrifice. True story. I'll look that up. But we have different so on, so forth. Sign, share. Yeah, so it's like, oh yeah, this is like a Kansas. So these are the big guys that signed. All right, from the top bottom, Debian Project GNOME Foundation, former member, OSID, more Debian stuff, more GNOME stuff, more Debian stuff, insane, GNOME stuff, Debian stuff, and most of these people are like former industry workers and whatnot. So it's like, whatever. They're just using their platform as a soapbox. And then you got organizations and whatnot. It's like, again, I don't take a lot of them seriously. Creative Commons, alrighty. FreeDOS, whatever. GNOME has been a meme for quite some time in terms of their terms of stagnation. They've been notorious in terms of their stagnation and I don't know, their wannabe Macishness is what I'd like to call it. Mozilla's a joke. Yeah, Mozilla's a joke. They've been pushing words instead of software, and I think that's what a lot of these groups do. However, some of them are just like signing in, it's like, oh, okay, whatever. It'll help boost our image and whatnot. And I'm like, I feel like a lot of these would benefit, and it's like I think a lot of them are relatively neutral in this regard. GNU Radio, FreeDOS, they're smaller projects, so you wouldn't really care much about them, but they're like, yeah, sure, alright, whatever. The OBS project, yeah, OBS is a big one. Tor project is also kind of a funny. SUSE, Xorg, but I think the big ones are like GNOME Foundation and Mozilla, and the reason I say that is because they have been vehemently against free software, and as such, they want to just sort of get more of their tentacles into the Linux scene. Not that I find anything wrong with things like say systemd. Well, that's coming up from Red Hat and whatnot, which is coming from IBM. So you can understand why people are like really, really skeptical at best, afraid at worst. But you can definitely find flaws with what Gnome's been doing as of late. Gnome has been messing everything up on the floor. um, Older implementations of Gnome are more antiquated implementations like XFCE or Mate in terms of the GTK, which is the GNOME desktop library for Linux BSD desktop environments. They're another one of those companies that speaks first, code writes software later. Same with Mozilla. Yeah, and Tor's a bit iffy. Yeah, and the Xorchid Foundation's been dead. They haven't been doing anything with the X Windows system in a really good while. Then you can see like a ton of lists of individuals. We want you to put your name down here. So, and it's like, all right, they have 25, 2,576 signatures. So next, though, I want to go to the letter that I support, an open letter in support of RMS, an open letter in support of Richard M. Stallman. RMS has been driving force into free software for years. There have been vile online attacks. And here's the point I was making earlier. It's an autonomous body. It's capable of treating its fair, unbiased fashion. Capable of treating its members in a fair, unbiased fashion. Should not give in to external social pressures. Yeah, it's its own thing. Why should it have to care about a bunch of, for lack of better terms, dicks from outside of the free software community? And yes, I do say that a lot of these groups are coming from outside the free software community. Again, I just keep bashing them, especially GNOME and Mozilla, as well as some of these others, OBS, Tor to an extent. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Linux Foundation came up and put some stuff on there. The Linux Foundation's like, this in autism speaks to scam. Historically, RMS is used a way to upset many people. He's just autistic, dude. And I think that's like one of the bigger things is that autism's out, transgenderism is in. It's the mental illness of the decade, guys. To the FSF, removing RMS will hurt FSF's image. Definitely, absolutely. They did it once, and it was definitely taken down a peg. RMS is a great figure. I mean, like, he might not be the best at expressing his opinions, but he is just a smart guy. You know, to the ambush mob is getting up from Richard Stallman. You have no part in choosing leadership of any community, especially not via another mob attack. Yep. So this is literally just cancel culture. And so sign. There's a lot of signatures and whatnot. Currently it is at 2,401. And as you can see, I have also signed this letter because I am in support of Richard Stallman's reinstatement into the Free Software Foundation. I think that, you know, this has been an issue that they have waited for a good while over at the FSF and to cool things down, because the last time Richard Stallman left the FSF was due to similar accusations on a smaller scale. However, I feel like these sort of people over here are now realizing, you know, not how scary the FSF is, but rather how strong it is, how in the way they are to sort of steamrolling things out and giving people the illusion of free software when free was there all along. So again, you know, you're probably going to see this elsewhere. The links are on the top: rms-open-letter.github.io, rms-support-letter.github.io. So honestly, I'm not going to be able to control you, but I'm going to say this. I am definitely in support of Richard M. Stallman. So they also have a GitHub repository right here. So rms-support-letter.github.io, in which you can sign and click here and make a username file, yada yada yada. However, you can also just go to the pinned issues. You can make a comment here if you want to be added without making a pull request file. So you can just do it like that. Yep. Name link. Yep. So you could just do that, you know. Anyways, that's gonna be it. I really just wanted to express my opinions on this because it sort of gained a lot of traction a few days ago, over the past 3 days. And I think this was just a nice little thing to make a video on, and I think it's surprisingly important. I think there's a lot of cool things that free software does, and there's been a lot of cool things that Richard Stallman has done. But I think just to slam on a guy because of past statements is sort of indicative of a belief that one cannot change their mistakes. One cannot either apologize for their actions or rectify their statements, which I think is absolutely bogus. Alright, and I think it's also extremely harmful to the FSF, who has undergone a lot lately, especially with the initial leave of Richard Stallman. So yeah, I support Richard Stallman, and I signed the RMS Support Letter, so go ahead, check this out, and be sure to sign if you too share the same opinions. Alright, see you on the flip side.